Welcome back to another episode of our Fiat series. Today, we sat down with Jay Becker and dove deep into why and how businesses should integrate crypto. As the founder of Crypto Concierge, Jay covered many topics such as crypto ethics across the globe and how Bitcoin will reach mass adoption. We would really appreciate a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify to help others find the show. Hope y'all enjoyed this conversation as much as we did. All right, Jay, welcome to the show.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. I guess we'll get right into it. So maybe a little summary of your own crypto journey to start.
Sure.
Could you really just give us that real quick?
Yeah. So started off, I hated cryptocurrency. That was the dumbest thing ever. It was making my graphics cards expensive, and it was making my I saw it as a dumb internet fad. I think a lot of people see that, and then they're like, oh, look, it hurts the environment, and look, which is a complete fallacy. And then they say, look at all these scams that happen, and then they completely disregard. That was me. That was 100% me. And it wasn't until I had a friend who finally convinced me to give it a second look, and I threw a couple $100 in like Bitcoin and Ethereum. I completely forgot about it. And then I come back and I check it in like a month or so, and it doubled in value. And it got me thinking, it's like, okay, two options here. Option number one, this is a complete and total scam. Or number two, there's something behind this. Either way, that's a really fascinating question to answer. So that's what kind of got me interested. And then when I dug deeper, I found out that it's like cryptocurrency itself and the blockchain technology that is built upon is much more than just finance or investing. It's much more than just like borderless transaction fees. Fundamentally, what it's about solving this problem of humanity, and that is, right, if power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, then how do we run a society, right? Because we requires for us to run things like currency, or collecting, or not collecting data, but policing, or like all these other things that require power to be aggregated into central authorities. Blockchain gives us a third solution, a third answer to that. And when I understood that, when that clicked, I was like, oh, you don't need to have a third party that has all this power and therefore instability. It just blew my mind. And I was like, this is where I want to go. And so that's one thing led to another. I'll try to make this short. One thing led to another, and that's why I started the business I'm running right now, which is Crypto Concierge. And what we do is we work with businesses to create custom solutions for them to integrate cryptocurrency. So think of like Google Suite, but for crypto. So enable them to accept, store, spend it. We're also starting to dabble in NFTs for businesses that want that too. But yeah, that's kind of what we're about and how I got here.
Yeah, that's awesome. When you were talking about like the power and the control, it reminded me of a tweet I saw. It was a video of someone from 1997. I don't know if it was a senator or some public figure, and he was talking about like how there needs to be an e-cash because the financial system and the fiat system that we have set up under the U.S. government is corrupt, and eventually someone is going to exploit that. And he was literally just talking, basically referencing all what Bitcoin is about and why it's created.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm curious. So obviously there's like the Bitcoin maxis, and they're like, okay, Bitcoin is the end all be all. If anything else is out there, it's worth garbage. And then there's also people like on the other end of the spectrum that's like, okay, Bitcoin literally has no utility whatsoever.
Right.
And like all these other altcoins, they're actually giving you value. So where do you fall on
where
that
spectrum? I'm not a big Bitcoin maxi. I say I'm a Bitcoin I don't know if fundamentalist is the right word. I believe it's like this. All cryptocurrency, well, mostly anything ever, is just tools, right? Your brain is a tool. This computer is a tool, right? It's all tools, right? And so for the scenarios that I work with, I specialize in, Bitcoin makes the most sense. It's been around the longest, it has the most stability, it has the most trust. And as far as those that would, on the other end of the spectrum, I would say one of the most fundamental building blocks of all currency and money is trust. And Bitcoin has that in spades. And so that's why I kind of focus on Bitcoin. Now that's not to say I think all the other ones are trash. I think they're really useful and they're really interesting. I really love the idea of digital receipts with like NFTs and going much farther than just the JPEGs. I think that's really powerful technology. And I think again, I think there's just a lot of really interesting things. I do think that like we're very new, we're very early, we're in like the internet in the 90s. And so I am definitely a lot more cautious when it comes to altcoins, simply because it's like, okay, what's just a gimmick? What's really going to stick? What, like, there's a lot of unknowns that we're just trying to grapple with and wrestle with. And so I would say I approach the altcoins kind of like I'm on the stands, I'm cheering for them. I'm not necessarily playing the game, but yeah, I do appreciate the work that they're doing.
That's a good analogy. So I know you briefly mentioned Crypto Concierge, but so that's the company that you run. And I guess when you started a Crypto Concierge, what was the problem that you saw in the space that you were hoping to address or solve?
Well, the problem that I was solving was that for this period of time, I got huge into like research. We're researching projects, investing a little, going on, and I would go to incredible lengths. I would go through like Wayback Machine. I would like really like understand the fundamentals. I would talk to the people, join the communities, right? And one of the things I kept seeing again and again is that you have incredibly powerful tools that are being developed, they're being created, that no one knows about or uses. And I mean, that's fundamentally the nerd problem, right? Nerds are great at solving problems. They're amazing. They'll solve problems you don't even want solved. They'll just do it just because they like solving problems. I know, I'm one of them, and so but the issue is that, like, okay, you have this really powerful technology, right? But it's not being utilized. And so that's the whole idea of Crypto Concierge. It's a bridge. It's a bridge between the people who, like, okay, the businesses or owners are kind of like, okay, I get cryptocurrency. I don't have the time and energy to invest, hundreds of hours into learning this, tech stack and understanding how I can optimize it in my business. Oh, that's where someone like us, we would come in. And that's really the problem it solves. And as far as like within businesses, that really depends, right? If you were talking about just like a typical run-of-the-mill service consulting business, it's excellent for borderless payments, especially if A, your clients are out of the country, and B, if your team is out of country, it can make paying them a whole lot easier. Secondly, a lot of the people we work with, because we focus on not using exchanges. So the people we work with typically are interested in holding on to some of that cryptocurrency over the long term. So that means that they can give discounts for anyone who buys stuff in Bitcoin. Because if you hold on to just 10%, I was crunching the numbers, and if you'd invest like $1,000 in Bitcoin in 2019, you would have made an almost 100% return. And we're in a bear market, mind you. And so people have that long-term perspective. And I mean, we do this with our clients. It's like, hey, if you pay us in Bitcoin, you get a discount. So that's another huge thing. Another massive advantage is accepting cryptocurrencies is like the USD organic of the internet world, right? It's saying, hey, I support this movement. Hey, I want to encourage this. And I mean, personally, I'll buy something if like I have two options, and one option accepting cryptocurrency, the other isn't. I'll pay more for an inferior product if I can pay for it in Bitcoin. So that's kind of the mindset that it taps into. But again, that's just the tip of the iceberg, and it really depends from business to business. Some like we dispensaries, they can't touch financial services. So for them, being all self-hosted off exchange is a dream. But yeah, really depends.
Right. Yeah. I love that point about what you said, like supporting the crypto like transaction, regardless, even if it's like not economically right. That's awesome, because it's like that's really how this whole
Exactly.
place and like industry really grows.
It's a snowball effect. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly what it is. Like you're on top of the snowball and it just keeps rolling, or top of the hill and it just keeps rolling down.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, you like mentioned like how your business touches on the helps businesses like apply crypto to their business. But also like when you go on your website, there's the 4 businesses, then there's the 4 Bitcoiners. So could you elaborate on like why
I need to update the website. Yes. All right. So the reason being is that there's really two, and this is kind of what I'm starting to realize and trying to like wrap my brain around. And that is, there's really two market segments that are important to me, right? There's the business owners, obviously, right? But there's this whole other segment of people who have cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and want to spend it. Because ideally I would like to be in a place where the community decides, right? It's like, hey, here's 1,000 or 100 people all with Bitcoin that would love to buy your stuff. All you got to do is implement the system. Like I would love to be in that space, because at the end of the day, our vision, our goal is to live in a world where Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is the norm, where you go to the grocery, you buy something with cryptocurrency, right? It's you completely remove the need for exchanges, and thus the only place that governments can regulate cryptocurrency is at that exchange level. And so if you remove that, you free up the industry, and I think humanity as a whole. And so that's kind of like the main term vision. So that's why, and we're working on doing a better job of it. But yeah, we want to cater towards those people like, hey, I want to buy stuff with Bitcoin, but also, hey, I want to accept Bitcoin. And a lot of times they're the same people too, which is really cool.
Yeah. So I guess, so say I'm the lead at a company, and I come to you and I say I want to integrate crypto into my business. What would be like the first steps to kind of take action for that?
We can give you a fake business if you need to work off that too.
No, I'm good. Actually, maybe. What industry is this in?
You got it.
All right. This is a business in the podcast industry, and they have an online merch store.
Online merch store. Okay, so what I'm seeing is probably sponsorships and e-commerce. Well, okay, so this again really boils down to, okay, why? And that is the most important question. If you're interested in cryptocurrency, I need to know why. If all you want is, I just want to accept a new form of money and I want to immediately cash out and put it into cash and throw it in my business, that's great. And I'm glad you're taking steps for crypto adoption. I will point you to other services that do a much better, more streamlined version. However, if you're like, hey, I want to accept cryptocurrency, I want to do this off the exchanges, and I want to do this in a manner where I can automatically hold on to some, and I want to do that securely, right? Then that's a completely different conversation. That's the fun part. And that's when we kind of figure out, okay, so like what are your goals? What do you want to achieve, right? Like how many people do you want to accept cryptocurrency, right? Because then once we have an idea, then we can kind of like figure out, okay, what sites to list you on, what what sort of outreach. For some people, that's just workshops. Working with one of our clients right now is a education company, and then that provides courses. And so one of the things we're doing is hosting a workshop and just be like, hey, this is how you can use this new magic internet money. And then then there's also the technical side, right? So depending on how much you plan on actually storing and saving, there's different levels of security that needs to adhere to, right? If you have 10K in Bitcoin in your computer, that's a little different level of security than say 100,000 or $1 million, right? Because once you get to those higher amounts, then you need to have much higher security, because as we all know, cryptocurrency transactions are reversible. So that's pretty much how it goes. It's like, okay, what's like the big picture here that we want out of this? What does an ROI look like for you? And then it goes into more of the details and more technical. That's where we really shine and come in and automate things, set things up, so that you really don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so I want to like go on a little tangent here and then come back to.
I love tangents.
Okay, so you mentioned like education, and like you guys have this workshop for people, and you also are the host of a podcast. So I'm curious, like, why do you think it's so important for there to be like a learning and education structure around crypto, and the fact that it's so early? Like, why is it so like important to actually teach people that are coming into the space?
That's a great question. Ideally, I wish I didn't have to. Like, if I'm being honest with you, I wish I didn't have to educate a single person. The issue is that it feels like I'm a plumber and I have to explain to people what a pipe is and why it's leaking is a bad thing, And so that's kind of why personally I'm focusing on education, because it's like, okay, it's yeah, and I mean, it also helps with adoption, helps with people like wrapping their brains around this. I mean, yesterday, because I'm always like thinking through like how can I explain these concepts? How can I explain the blockchain and cryptocurrency to new people? Because I have to do that all the time every day. I was pretty happy yesterday. I was talking to these two old guys. They were retired, and they were like, so what's that cryptocurrency thing? Because when you say, well, hey, what do you do? It's like I do crypto consulting, and then of course all the questions that come from that, right? And so I was able to explain to them in like 5-10 minutes, like how the blockchain works, how the security systems are, all that fun stuff. And I think they actually understood it by the end of it. At least they knew more than when they started. So that's I'm very proud of that. But yeah, I think it's important because yeah, for the very reasons, like people need to understand what a pipe is before you can explain to them what a leak is. And that's kind of where we're at. And again, in the future, that's not going to be a problem because everyone's going to know this stuff. But you know.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. I feel like it's like when you say like someone like, okay, Bitcoin, like it's super important because it moves away from the authoritarian structure.
Right.
And you're like, okay, what does that mean? Like, why does
Right.
it, like, that's literally what people think. Like, I mean, that's what I thought. I was like, well, how is Bitcoin like against like authoritarian?
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, no, that's where I was. I was like,
then you actually dive into that rabbit hole and it's like, okay, there's this whole structure and technology behind it that explains all of that. And like, you can't just say, oh, this is why Bitcoin's so great without actually explaining the bottom part. And I can relate to that too. There was an old man and the older man in the locker room with me. And I forgot how we even got on the topic, to be honest. I think he was asking me about school or something. And I mentioned blockchain. And he was like, what's blockchain? I was like, are you serious, dude? He was like a former attorney and everything. I mean, like, it'll clear like smart contracts and everything will clearly play into law, but it really is amazing, like the generational differences in like blockchain knowledge.
Yeah, I think he's a great uncle. He's this like mountain man. He was in he fought in the Vietnam War, and like he knows, like he's a pretty he's a great guy. But anyways, I was out camping kind of where he lives, and he was like, so what do you do? And of course it's like, how do I talk, like how like, so I do crypto consulting. And it's like, what's cryptocurrency? And I was like, I can't even begin to explain to this man. He barely touches a computer. And so I just kind of made like, yeah, it's just stuff with internet technology stuff. It's like, oh, that internet thing. I was like, hoping it's a fad. It's like, I sure hope it goes away. It's like,
wow. Yeah, I feel like there's so much value in being able to explain a concept like that to someone and like do it in a quick manner, because that really shows that like you have the deep understanding of it, and you also have that skill of being able to summarize a complex concept in like a short amount of time, which is just so valuable.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Yeah, so I guess on the topic of Crypto Concierge, how is like within your company, how do you guys kind of structure like your team and how you collaborate with the people that you work with?
Yeah, so it's pretty much I like to think of it more as collaborative environment. I mean, it's a startup, right? So people have a bunch of hats on, and it's more of, yeah, I think more of a collaborative environment is a better way of describing it, because I'm much more of a shoot first, ask question second, and that's kind of the level I expect from the people I work with, because at the end of the day, I think action is way more important than words and talking. And also, I mean, love the team that I work with, because a lot of them are like, for the most important thing, if you want to be on my team, the most important thing of all, like most important skill hands down, is self-taught. Because this is a new space, it's always evolving. You will have to learn something. You will have to like actually care about the space and want to like learn and be able to teach yourself and not have somebody to handhold you, because there's always new problems. There's always new stuff that comes up. One day, we're working on, Linux command lines and, writing scripts. And the next day we're having to mess with idiotic website builders that are just make no sense. I don't understand how you can mess up a website builder. That seems like a fairly straightforward thing to do, but some people do. And so we have to go in and we have to figure out, okay, how we're going to like integrate the system. Anyways, but yeah, so it's like, that's the most important thing on our team is like, okay, can you teach yourself? Can you actually like do stuff? And but yeah, no, that's
yeah. From what I've like read and learned about like startups, it really is like, I know of someone else that was in like a CRM startup, and it's just like there's so much going on and like so many heads bashing, and like you really don't know what to do because there's so many people, and like you're just kind of testing the waters for like what your company is doing. I'm curious, like, do you have like a long-term vision on like how you want it to be structured, at least? Like
well, so long-term structure. Long term, there's two routes, and it's something that I think we're just. I think, especially planning this early stage, early in like our business cycle, but also early in the crypto space. There's a whole lot of unknowns, and so we just really got to take things one contract, one client at a time. There's two options I see. The option number one is to really go down the consulting avenue, and this time, but expand it to more like no, what's the legal version? It's not tax. It's tax avoidance, not tax. What's the other word? Not dodge. Yeah, tax dodging. The legal version of that, right? I will get more into that and help businesses to not only accept cryptocurrency, but accept cryptocurrency in a place that is actually crypto friendly, that has zero tax, and is much more conducive to that environment. For a couple of reasons, to shield them from potential legislation and legal issues. Say if the United States were to pass some very unfriendly crypto laws, well, if you're running your business out of Dubai or someplace, that might insulate you from some of those problems. So anyways, that's one way. The other avenue, honestly, what I'm kind of a little bit more excited about, is the SaaS model, and creating essentially a crypto CRM SaaS product, where it's stupidly easy for just your average run-of-the-mill business owner to get set up, to use, to integrate, to manage. Because that's what we have right now. Essentially, we provide these services. The issue is it requires a little bit of technical know-how to understand how to tie them all together, how to get all of them talking to each other. And so if we just had one platform, people could just sign on, they could use. I think that'd be great, because there's so much friction right now, and the more we can do to reduce friction in this market, I think the quicker we can reach total adoption. But yeah, those are like my two paths. As far as structure, again, the structure of the business itself is going to depend on which path makes more sense as time progresses.
Yeah.
Something completely different than SaaS.
That's awesome. You mentioned like other countries like incorporating crypto, which actually sprung another tangent into my mind. I don't think we've actually ever mentioned it on this podcast, surprisingly, is El Salvador, and how they're basically structuring their whole country.
El Salvador isn't the only one.
Yeah, true. So what are your thoughts on like El Salvador taking that risk, and like maybe you can touch on anything that's happened recently you think about?
I'm not a El Salvador. I haven't really done a proper thorough dive into that. From what I know is that the government isn't. It's like I'm kind of stuck, because on one hand, obviously crypto adoption is amazing. Like, this is incredible. They're taking this as legal tender. Like, this is what crypto people have been dreaming about. It's a prophesied day, but on the other hand, how they're doing it, I do think I have issues with. From what I've heard, they are they're requiring people to tie their identity to wallet addresses. They are people don't really have a choice. Like, it's just kind of forced upon them. And I that's completely against the ideals of cryptocurrency. So we'll see. One that I'm personally really interested in, because I find it, I have a very dark sense of humor, so I find it kind of funny. But the CAR, Canadian Central African Republic, as the second country in the world to accept cryptocurrency as legal tender. And so I was like, I have literally never heard of this country. I'm a filthy American, so I don't know geography in the first place, but like, still, I've never heard of this place. So I was doing a little bit of research, and there's been a civil war for like 10 years or some like, it's Africa, it's an African country, right? Then on top of that, you have multiple, there's like not just one civil war, but there's like 4 or 5, just like it's like battle royale going on there. And in the main government, I think honestly, it's just like it's a Hail Mary for them. It's just to be like, well, we'll make it legal tender. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? So they're trying to like somehow hopefully encourage investors to invest and like do citizenship to investment to stabilize the country a little bit, which again, I hope that works, because that would be an amazing use case for cryptocurrencies. If you make it like a crypto haven, then you get the stability, you get the investment. I don't know how that's going to turn out either. But like the other issue with the CR is that like 1 in 10 people have access to the internet. So if 1 in 10 people have access to the internet, and cryptocurrency is something you transmit over the internet, I don't know how they're going to do that one, but not my problem.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't looked too much into the whole El Salvador thing either, but from what I would see on like Twitter is like a lot of the people there, they don't have like the proper education set up.
Right.
And a lot of people like do not know how to use Bitcoin still, even
Right.
though like they're pushing it on so many like businesses and so many of the citizens, which is kind of crazy. But I feel like that's always how it was going to be, where one of the first countries to do it is going to be a dictatorship.
Yeah.
And I think it will make a bad look if a dictator who's constantly tweeting out like when he buys Bitcoin saying my country just bought the dip, and if that fails and it just gives us all a bad look, it's just going to be really unlucky.
Yeah, no, it's, well, like yes and no. I think because I think at worst it will just delay it, because Bitcoin is the best currency. Like, and as a result, it's only a matter of time before it becomes mainstream, right? The question is this going to be the next 10 years or the next 100 years? If El Salvador fails, that definitely puts it more in like the 100-year category. But yeah, I really don't like the idea of a dictatorship pushing this currency on, because again, that's the exact opposite of what it's supposed to be. But at the same time, like if that helps adoption, it's kind of like the science conundrum, right? A lot of science we have, a lot of medicine, especially with health, we have it because some really messed up countries with no ethical morals did a bunch of testing, human experimentation and testing, and like that's how we understand how to treat frostbite, is because Nazi scientists tested for, did a bunch of experiments on people in concentration camps, right? And so it's like, well, we're benefiting from this not so great thing, and I feel like that's probably what we're experiencing with El Salvador. It's like, I mean, maybe not that level, of course, but it's like that same kind of concept of like, this isn't a great thing, but we're still benefiting from it. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, you mentioned crypto going mainstream, which kind of leads me back to your business, and seeing as you're kind of like on the front line of seeing businesses and seeing how many businesses maybe are starting to want to accept crypto. I'm curious, do you think, I feel like I might know what your answer is going to be, but do you think that we've kind of hit that escape velocity point of companies and businesses starting to accept crypto payments?
No, I don't. That might be a weird thing to say, but I think escape velocity is when just normal average people are asking, hey, do you accept cryptocurrency in your business? That's when a random person off the street starts saying, hey, I'm coming to business and asking, hey, will you take Bitcoin for your purchase? That to me is when we reach escape velocity. Right now, it's still a niche market. It's still like the people actually wanting to buy stuff with Bitcoin. It's growing every day. It's greatly expanding, which is why I'm here, because I want to be set up before the run, right? I want to be selling the pickaxes and the gold pans before gold is discovered, right? And so I don't think we've hit that point yet. I think we could definitely see in the next year or two. If we get a bull run, absolutely. But I don't know how likely that is.
What do you think has to happen for it to actually like get to that point? Like, is it something that's regulation is preventing it from happening? Is it something that just education is preventing it, or what?
I think it's just adoption. Like, because you see, the more people that adopt cryptocurrency personally and on a business level, the more they're interested in using that cryptocurrency. The more they're interested in using that cryptocurrency, the more business they give to other crypto-friendly businesses. The more, especially if they actually use that cryptocurrency, not just exchange it, then those businesses are going to be looking for vendors who are also looking to accept cryptocurrency, right? And so we have this feedback loop. We have this self-circulating economy, and that's kind of like back to the website. That's why I have 4 Bitcoiners. I want to help encourage and foster this self-circulating economy. Because that's when it grows, right? And once that grows and expands, I mean, it'll be exponential growth. I actually look forward to the day where I can close shop as far as the crypto onboarding process. I would love that. I would love it if, just wake up one day, it's like, oh yeah, I guess I don't need to help people integrate cryptocurrency because most people already have. Excellent, I can move on to something else. but yeah, so that's kind of like my thinking around the issue. I mean, it could. I mean, there are other outside factors that could help. Maybe regulation could help or hurt it. Maybe it's maybe it's a bull run. Maybe it's, I don't know. Maybe celebrities need to start using it. I don't know. Again, it's
they already have quite a bit, really. You got
yeah.
a bunch of people launching NFTs and promoting shit coins and whatnot. So
But that's
obviously-
the issue. That's the issue. It's
right?
like
Literally.
Yeah.
like I hate it when these celebrities and these people they shill these stupid. I remember Jake Paul was talking about Dink Doink. It was like a year ago or something. Like it's obvious, he admitted it, like, yeah, this is a scam, this isn't going anywhere. Of course people bought in, and now that's what people think cryptocurrency is. And it's like I know it just
Yeah, it's frustrating for sure. So back to like the business side of things, like, do you think there's like, from what you've experienced or like what you know about the space, do you think there's like certain businesses that are more ready for crypto adoption
Yes,
now? Like certain
absolutely.
so what are some businesses that you see that would strengthen the most from crypto adoption, and maybe some businesses that you say might need to wait a little bit until it
Wait a little bit. That's actually very easy. Hospice. Probably won't be integrate cryptocurrency anytime soon. No. All right. So businesses have the most to gain, but businesses that have the most to gain are international businesses that have trouble with financial services. Those are, and right now that's like weed dispensaries, in my opinion, have the absolute most to gain from it. And that's simply because they can run their entire business without ever touching a bank. And that's really cool. Then it goes into, okay, international businesses, international high margin businesses that can afford to hold that cryptocurrency on their balance sheet. Those are the next step, and that's honestly kind of what we're focusing on. Because if they have high margin, that means that they can hold on to some of that. They can use it to invest. They can use it to spend. And then as far as and there's like a whole bunch of businesses in the middle. I would say e-commerce, at least, like e-commerce would benefit more from a purely direct exchange from crypto to fiat, simply because they're so low margins that kind of have to. But then as far as businesses that aren't good at the moment, those would be businesses that are like working directly with the government, have a lot of like public contracts, because government isn't paying them in Bitcoin, unfortunately. You'll have especially like if you're customer focused, and your demographics are like 50s plus, probably also not a good time to integrate cryptocurrency, at least not yet. If you're doing like some revenue sharing model, like you're taking a percentage of whatever, like that's also not probably a good business to integrate cryptocurrency. So yeah, like the main ones that have the most benefit are the businesses that are like customer focused, higher margin, that can really take use of all the benefits that come with it.
Yeah, on the topic of like the celebrities, I was like super involved in the whole shitcoin phase, and like any community I would join, everyone in there, like their entire purpose was get this token enough value to where the team can sell some of their equity and buy a sponsorship, like an Instagram post from Logan Paul. Like that's all anyone wanted, because they knew it would just explode. But I guess continuing on the integration,
I have an idea about that, actually.
Yeah.
What if? Okay, I need to check with the team if this is possible. It'd be really funny though. What if create? I bet we could create custom like payment gateway-ish for all these shit coins. All right, and of course we have to make sure they immediately cash out. But then, I mean, imagine if like just random businesses are like, hey, yeah, we'll take that, that happy dog coin, happy ape dog coin, for the business. Like, whoa, look at this adoption! Immediately cashes out. Oh.
Yeah, that would be crazy. Imagine like SpaceX just took over Safe Moon or whatever that first token was that blew up.
Or like a business starts accepting one crypto and then they get rugged.
Well, no, that's why you have to cash out immediately, right?
Yeah.
You just do it to get the sales in the door. What if? all right, had like an e-commerce store that just like did drop shipping with ludicrous prices and something really stupid. I bet you get people to buy it just because it's using their favorite favorite coin. Anyways, continue on with your question.
So I was just curious. So obviously, like, I guess I could be wrong here, but the simplest form of integration for a business, I guess, would be on our website. You can pay with Bitcoin. I'm not sure if that is strictly what you guys do, but if not,
Yeah,
is there
that
like
is
a more complex thing, a complex way to integrate it?
so the easy to hard. Easy, obviously, there's a lot of exchanges. And if you just want to cash out, they're excellent. Like Now Payments, there's Forum Pay, there's Coinbase Commerce, there's BitPay. There's a lot of these. Again, they're exchanges, so you have all the issues that come with exchanges. They're not great places to store your money. And they're also not long-term stable. For example, like regulations change so quickly, and that means that your business used to be served, but now you can't because you're in the United States. Now you can't access your account either. So good luck to all the money that's locked in there. But if all you want is a quick, easy integration, that's your best bet. The next thing is, just having your website, hey, we accept cryptocurrency, and we set up a payment server for that. More complex is, okay, you set this up, but you also want to store it. Okay. How are you going to do that in a safe and secure manner? And with multi-sig, with whether it's running your own node, whether that's what wallet program you use. By the way, the current program that we have found to be the best for security and usability is Sparrow Wallet. It is it's only for Bitcoin, but it enables you to make a lot of addresses really quickly, helps you manage them, and it helps you like sending them. It's an excellent program. You can set multi-sig, you can connect a mixer to it. Anyways, so that'd be like the next step. And then the third layer of complexity is, okay, let's do something with this cryptocurrency. So whether that is automatically paying employees, or whether that is finding vendors and services that will actually accept cryptocurrency, whatever it is, right? That's kind of like the third layer of complexity. But yeah, if all you want to do is just accept cryptocurrency, spend the 10 minutes to get an account exchange and just plug that straight into your website.
Yeah, it is pretty deep. I feel like most people don't really understand like the complexity that there actually can be when you integrate, and they're like, oh, it's just money. Like what more can I do with it than just
or the dangers of not doing it correctly.
Right.
People think, oh, it's just, I can just, like, well, look, yes, that is better than nothing, and that a bike with no tires is better than no bike, but you're
not going to go very far without tires.
I think you've had an analogy for every topic we've covered.
I've talked about this stuff a lot, as you can tell.
That's awesome. It makes it better for the viewers.
What analogies? You got me in topic analogies. I wanted to mention this when we talked about fiat. All right, using fiat currency, it's like using fiat currency is kind of like having a bomb strapped to your chest and giving the key to someone else. Because at the end of the day, your financial safety, at least in cash, is entirely dependent on somebody else who you've never met, you have no control over, you don't even vote for, you don't even like the Fed. People don't realize that the Fed, the people that control our money, that's not an elected position. It's a disaster. And so but anyways, that's one of my another favorite analogy I like giving. So with the question.
That's pretty extreme right there. If I'm listening to this right now and I haven't even thought about crypto, I'm thinking about crypto now. So I'm curious, like, on the website and like what you've been talking about is a lot of emphasis on like keeping your stuff like off of exchanges. So like, what's the true benefit of like, okay, why should I not have my stuff on like Coinbase or a wallet?
What's well, I kind of went into a little bit, but I'll go into deeper. So first of all, it's regulation. Crypto. Well, okay, maybe I should start with security. Security is an issue on multiple levels. Reason number one is KYC. You have to give a lot of very personal information. which isn't great. All right. You don't want to give that out to really anybody, but the second reason is hot wallets. And hot wallets are just wallets that are on servers instead of them being, backed up on your computer. The wallet is active on a server, which means it's a lot easier and makes perfect target for hackers, because if they hack your bank account and they drain your money, well, the bank can just reverse a transaction and you have your money back. Cryptocurrency, once it's gone, it is gone. It's not coming back. You're not going to see that ever again. So that's a perfect target. That's a jackpot for hackers. I was listening to this podcast called Darknet Diaries, an excellent listen if you haven't already. And there's this whole story on this ecosystem built around draining people's wallets on exchanges. And they do we're talking about SIM swap. We're talking about in deals with managers of local cell phone shops so that they can do perform SIM swappings. And then they do there's this OSINT, open source intelligence, where they gather a bunch of intelligence on somebody, and then they go in, they hack, they drain their wallet, they pay everybody out. It's an elaborate operation. And these people really know what they're doing. So that's a major, millions of dollars have been drained from exchanges. And if you're running a business, and especially if you're dealing with real amounts of money, that's massive level of risk. And so, okay, then on top of that, you have the issue of stability, okay? Because if you want to accept cryptocurrency, I expect you want to accept cryptocurrency for the next, 5-10 years. And right now, the exchange landscape of who operates in what jurisdiction, that's changing. I've woken up to multiple times, unfortunately, to, I guess I just can't access this exchange anymore. Not because I was doing trafficking, I wasn't selling arms, I wasn't putting out hits on people. I just was in the wrong place, and they don't serve the United States anymore. So goodbye. My favorite time was when I was using Exodus Exchange, and I went and because that was one of the places I could get Monero, and Monero is really hard to get your hands on. So I was like, okay, let's get some Monero. I go in and it says, we're sorry, but we can't serve you people that in your jurisdiction. I'm like, what? I look and it's like, people from North Korea, Iran, Russia, Washington, and Oregon, and I live in Oregon. I cannot use this service. I'm like, of course, thanks. I love it that Oregon's on the same list as Iran and North Korea. Seems about right politically, but yeah. So that's the other risk is you have the risk of these exchanges, and then you just have a third risk, which is I'll call it mismanagement, and that is where exchanges will just freeze people's accounts. They'll allow them to continue doing their business. And so that's why exchanges, for the most part, are very. And then we have the fourth argument, as you can tell, I really don't like these exchanges. The fourth argument, and that is it's from a not an ethical, but from a not a, what's the right word I'm looking for? But from a I guess ethics perspective, is that the idea of Bitcoin is to be decentralized, right? It's to not have these central points of failure. It's about giving control of the money back to the people, right? How money has really always been. But with exchanges, they're the opposite. They're just banks, really. It's the old financial system. And this is supposed to be new money. This is supposed to be better. This is supposed to be peer-to-peer beyond that. And so, those are the main reasons why.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I know we talked about it a lot throughout the whole podcast, but I appreciate you summarizing everything. It helps understanding and putting everything together.
Yeah.
But that last point kind of makes a lot of sense too, because obviously there's some wallet and exchanges that have self-custodial wallets, so you kind of have control over it. But you're really just pushing it to the extreme. Yeah. And you're okay, let's really, if we're going to make it peer-to-peer, let's make it completely peer-to-peer.
Let's make it peer-to-peer. And we can do that, right? We can do it. And it can be easier and it can be better. There really isn't, aside, the one downside is that, okay, it's technically difficult to set up and use, all right? But that's where we come in, right? That's why we exist, is to make sure you don't have to learn archaic Linux commands to start accepting cryptocurrency.
Right. And you're the perfect resource for them.
Exactly.
If they need help. So I'm curious, mentioning resources, like, do you have any like books or like podcasts or YouTube videos that you might recommend, whether it be crypto in specific or like in general for life or whatnot?
I haven't finished this book, but I'm like 26% of the way through it, and I love it. Anti-Fragile. It's recommended a lot in like Bitcoiner libertarian circles, and I absolutely understand why. It's essentially this idea of, okay, we have this idea of what fragile is, right? Something, something like this phone, right? Where if I drive over it, it breaks. Okay. But what's the opposite of that? Well, that's something that when you hit it, it becomes stronger, right? This is like biological systems, right? When we work out, when we go to the gym, we're breaking down muscle. We're actually tearing up our muscles, but then they get built back stronger. And I think like that is a beautiful like idea, and that I think that's what Bitcoin really summarizes. And like it is anti-fragile. The more you attack it, the more you try to strike it down, the stronger it becomes. So that's a huge resource for me. As far as resources for like buying stuff with Bitcoin, which is what I like promoting. I have like I'm making a master list, because there's all these like resources, but they have their own niche. So there's like Coin Maps, which shows local businesses that accept Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. Then we have Spend a Bit, and this is where you can search up products like earbuds, right? Hey, I want to buy some earbuds in Bitcoin. You search in the product, it'll show you all the products that you and all the different like e-commerce stores that all are accepting Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. So that's an excellent resource if you're just looking at buying things. I think and I think another overlooked resource are white papers. People do not read enough white papers. I understand why. They're so boring. They're the most boring, dry things I have ever read in my entire life, but they're incredibly important. So I would absolutely read the Bitcoin white paper if you haven't already. You don't have to understand all of it. I'm not saying that, but just understand the fundamentals and where this all started. Read the Ethereum white paper, read the Lightning white paper, right? Because like, this ultimately cryptocurrency is about a trustless system, right? And so if you're gonna live in a trustless system, you should understand the fundamentals of how it actually works. But
yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, definitely. And we normally end each of our podcasts with a final question. So what is one goal that you have in your career or personal life, and what actions are you taking to achieve it?
What is one goal? I would like to create a space mining company. That would be really fun.
Wow.
But as far as what I'm doing to achieve it, well, I'm working in one of the fastest growing industries of our current time. So
what does a space mine company encompass?
Well, the idea behind it is that I think it's a rather somewhat popular idea, but why are we manufacturing stuff on Earth? Why? Like, the only reason why we're doing it is because it's cheaper, it's more efficient. But if we have minerals and useful materials on, say, the moon, on asteroids, on these different places, and we can mine or we can refine them off planet, that significantly reduces the amount of pollution and environmental damage on Earth without having to sacrifice economics and regulations, regulation overload. And so that's kind of the core idea, is like, why let's keep Earth for being a biosphere, which is what's really good at. But I'm not going to go into space because that's a different topic altogether.
Right. Yeah. That'd be awesome, man. It does make, and gravity too, like gravity on the moon. I think we talked about it. I talked about it with my uncle a lot, and he was like, listen, why are we launching rockets off of Earth? Like, we should be building them.
Well, exactly. Like we could
launch them from the moon.
The issue specifically is with of course, getting stuff to space. If we can find fast ways of getting stuff to space, which is what Elon is working on, I think that could be an excellent way of expediting that process. But yeah, no, like that's definitely like a long-term goal I have in mind. And I see that the work we're doing right now with cryptocurrency, another really fascinating piece of technology that kind of links in with that is DAOs, because when you are especially off-world distant places, you're going to have to be self-governing, self-managing. And I think DAOs are this excellent experiment at how can we do that in an effective way. A lot of them are failing, which I like because you can learn a whole lot from failures. But I think it's like another kind of
yeah, I think like with space mining, one of the even bigger things is like asteroids are so potent in essential minerals and all the things you need.
Rare earth minerals.
Yeah, exactly. And like that's just another reason why it would be so effective. And that's such like an ambitious goal. So, dude, I hope one day you achieve that, because that would be, that'd be crazy.
I just like I'm a simple man. I just want a moon base. I just want to wake up in the morning. I want to look outside and I want to see Earth rising. Okay, it's not nothing too ambitious here.
Yeah, that'd be pretty. I mean, shoot for the stars, man. Shoot for the moon. That's what you got to do in life. I'm curious. Okay, do you want to leave like anything else with the viewers before we let you go here?
Gosh, anything else?
And where can the viewers find you if they wanted to?
Yes, best place to reach out honestly is LinkedIn. I do. I post fairly regularly and love engaging with people there. One thing I'm creating a course, so be on the lookout for that. And again, the idea is just to explain cryptocurrency from a technology standpoint. To do research for this course, I've done I've listened to so many stupid courses on cryptocurrency, right? And all of them are all investment focused. Like without a doubt, they're all like, okay, how can you invest in this? And that's cool, that's great. But like, I'm a practical guy. I want to understand how can I actually use this to make my life better. And that's kind of what the course is circled around. So understanding the fundamentals is understanding how this can actually make it better. And to top it off, what I did is I went with my friend and we went all around Oregon and we went to like different landmarks and places. And that's where we filmed the introduction. So like the introduction to the course itself is on top of this like Neocani Mountain, which is the highest point in the Oregon coast. And you can see like beaches for miles. So that's kind of because I want this to be exciting. I hate boring, I hate classes, I hate like traditional education. It never worked for me. And so I want to make something that's really engaging and like fascinating. So keep an eye out for that because I think it's gonna be awesome when it finally does drop. But
yeah, we'll be sure to link all those links of everything to reach out to you in the show notes. We really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
You're fantastic interviewers, by the way. Make a great team.
Thank you, man.